Everybody, this is Greg Bettingstill. I'm the creator of Leaving Eden, the awesome, fantastic web series, sitting with producer Jennifer Bettingstill, who also plays Jill Nicholson, and then David Sapiro, who plays Ben Nicholson, and they're honest.
And some other guy.
Romance. Scott Crox is here.
Speaking of
Scott Crox plays Les. A little preface to episode 2. I feel like episode 2 is really where we start to get the kind of serialized storytelling going. It was the first time that I really wanted, and maybe the only time that I wanted to show passage of time.
Yeah.
I had something in my brain that I actually wanted to take to start on the 24 hours before the Sunday. I thought that would be interesting and cool because I know that my father, for example, was up many, many times through the night laboring over a sermon. I mean, with 2 or 3 hours of sleep, walking to the pulpit with 2 sermons written, not sure which one he was going to do. And I kind of wanted to go through that, not really in terms of the theology, but in terms of the work part of this. And so but this passage of time thing also struck me because the show that I most desire to be like in some sense is Friday Night Lights, and they do that too. As they get closer to the big game, they'll start you and they'll say it's Tuesday, so you get an idea of what's happening. So here we open up the sequence with our Lucas. I know I was just talking with Prox about locations. This is actually Josh's apartment, but it's just perfect for Lucas. It just, if it looks like it does, then that's because it is that awesome. So in this sequence, he's trying to figure out what he's supposed to do. And I tried putting music under it a couple times, and then I ended up pulling it out because the kind of silence was the thing that was killing it.
Right.
It was killing it.
Yeah. I happen to like the fact that according to the Rubik's Cube, he's already solved the puzzle, and yet still struggles with.
But wait, he always struggles. He did one side. That's what I used to do with my Rubik's Cube. I could get one side, and I would just hold it up. See, look. Wait a minute. Let me see.
So.
The cat is coming.
Yep.
Cat number 2.
Oh.
Yeah, Josh. Not a basketball player.
That was a real shot, by the way.
It was.
Oh, there he is, Kimba.
Oh.
Oh.
It's hard to hit those short-range jumpers like that,
Those 2 foot.
especially when you've got a hoop that's full of stuff.
Rubik's Cube. Another instance where I was like, gosh, I let him go, and I'm like, how can you not let him go? It's a problem I have. You can't not be stunned by what you're watching sometimes. Plus he bangs it out at the end, which is awesome.
I love that, yeah.
Yep.
And that look, that turn, okay.
Okay, stop
That
it.
felt good, but I can't do that anymore. And so, of course, what does he find inspiration from?
And
Well, where does everyone find inspiration?
That's true.
Now, I'll tell you the truth.
Get to the
Look,
collaborators.
the truth is I don't know if this was my brother's inspiration. My brother did do a sermon as a vicar or a young pastor with a life preserver around his waist. And I made a fake backstory of it because I thought it was funny. And because if my brother got any inside joke out of it, he'd know that Baywatch was just a joke, just for him.
Right.
and there it is.
And there's the inspiration.
Thank you for sharing that with the rest of us.
Thank you, America. So, I will say that to me, the shot that most feels like Friday Night Lights in the opening sequence is Dave looking through the door.
Yeah.
That feels the most
Yeah,
like I'm looking
I
at Friday Night Lights. And I can't put my finger on why, it just feels right. Everything about that shot feels right. And the opening sequence doesn't have the same desaturation that you use in the actual show. So it has a little bit more historical color. That way you get those cool sun flares on the So here's something that where he did some. This scene maybe took me as long as any scene that I put together for Leaving Eden.
No, you're not. You gotta
Just
get the
because
close
I
down
struggled
low
with
on
it.
the
I
phone
struggled
here,
with
like this.
with Izzy's character. I struggled with
You close it when it's in
what
there, right?
what Jill was saying. There, by the way, there's the other cat, the third cat that's in there. Was in that movie.
Boom! Batman. Love you.
Oh, look, it's Miss Izzy, the 1 a.m. texter. I didn't think I'd see you up this early.
I texted you last night.
Well, if, woohoo, as a text, then yes, you did. Sounded like you had pretty good
Funny
time.
story is that while we're shooting this, Izzy's mom kept standing in
God
the
bless
shot.
her.
She was
Izzy's
leaning
mom.
up against the house back there, and no, we ended up having to move her.
Oh, Karen.
The other thing that happened is when the baseball would go by, she thought she was helping by going getting the baseball and
She
rolling
would
it back
throw
up
it
onto the-
back.
So there was 5 or 6 takes we had with
Yes.
a baseball. In the middle of the scene, the baseball would
I
come
would
back
be-
up onto the-
I would roll the ball
Service.
to Elliot, and it would go by him, and I'd continue my lines, and all of a sudden, the ball would roll right back at me. Oh,
The
Karen.
reason we needed that scene though is for this scene.
Yes.
We needed to have one of those kids want their dad around. And I mean, with no offense to my dad at all, but there was a lot of tears from my end just wishing that my dad was around more. So I wanted to make sure that was expressed somehow in this. The truth is, my dad would have told you what I hope this episode tells people is he's got a lot of children. You know, he's
There's someone who needed him more in essence.
when Josh Pope, the great Josh Pope, wrote the music for this, he said he just kept watching the scene and crying. And all hands out to Dave for just lighting it up. This is, I think, one of the last, or the last scene we shot for the
Yeah, it was.
This is the last scene we shot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Josh said right here. That's why he added that extra breath in the composition. He kept seeing it in your eyes.
And again, props to the 7 and 9-year-old.
We're not
Just-
really sleepy. They
Just-
just did such
They're just that
yeah,
amazing.
they did a good job.
I get it.
They do.
I like this read, even though it's a little bit more Lucas than it. It's a little more Josh than
Josh
Lucas.
than
But, and introducing Ashley.
We were just finishing up.
You can't just go barging into places. This is a church.
Oh, Carol.
Ashley, we need to talk again.
She's right.
Wait. Watch Lucas at the door. I love
The
this.
best.
Ready?
Email me wrong.
Ugh. Awkward.
I told him to try to awkwardly bump in the door. He outdid himself. It was so.
Teacher, right?
Ashley, second grade. I call this the back of my head scene.
She's sick.
It's a beautiful head.
It's well lit.
Thank you, Liz.
I'm gonna tell you the obvious. The hardest
And
thing
again,
about all of this, for me anyway, is the privacy thing.
Instead of calling you Pastor Zooms in the finale, I'm gonna call you Pastor Sweet Cheeks.
It's,
You and I.
Could
Pretty nice in those jeans.
there is a
They're not
whole
jeans, those
story
are the
behind Sweet
doctors.
Cheeks' head.
But also, I would say this. I think that part of the things that I've read and that I know is what they're talking about right here is the pastor is being used, you know, not used, but I guess the word, as a therapist. He hears all these things and literally can't go anywhere with it, just like any other therapist cannot. But
Do we meet together then? Or?
this music's from Old Worlds, another band. I think they're in Ohio. I saw a link from one of my friends on Facebook. Immediately contacted them. They were excited to use it.
Just amazing music throughout this.
There's people
Just
coming for you in 5 minutes in the conference room.
Thanks, Carrot.
I hate that.
I love this Josh right here.
So did you get
What
a
do I
chance
do?
to look at that sermon? Lifeguards?
Oh.
Life preserve?
Yes. Yep. I got it.
and I'll tell you, every scene almost
Any
flawless. You almost get used to watching Dave.
So,
Like he's doing nothing.
No,
No.
you're
I'm not.
And yet,
Thank you, though. Yes.
and yet you are. But you almost forget about you just
No,
because
I think you're right.
it's there.
Yeah, it's effortless.
It's just there.
So here we flipped up to Sunday,
Oh,
and the
This
scene that
is-
everybody talks about.
Right.
It's the scene that everybody
This
talks
and just the way you shot it here.
on
It just,
to Lucas.
it almost feels like, you know, a fisheye lens kind of thing where the.
Well, I used a very wide. I think it's an 8 or a 10 millimeter.
Okay.
Super wide on. You're right. Thank you for catching it.
Yeah.
And this honestly never intended to be this long, but you couldn't.
Right. Oh.
You could not
And this
shoot
is Josh.
Lucas
I mean, I
short.
directed Josh in Neil Simon's Rumors about 8 years ago when he was in high school. And his comic timing has always been just
It's
so
just
good.
I was just talking to Dave about this.
Unteachable.
Yeah.
For some reason, from
It's
a
just
directing,
there.
editing standpoint.
Oh no.
Toilet scene.
What? I'm sorry, Mommy. You need to tell Mommy when the toilet's broken, okay?
How many takes?
There's 13.
I never felt good
13?
with it, so I kept asking for another take. Just, I wanted to see the splash in the face, and we got it.
Anytime you guys see me wipe
This
my
is
hand,
real life.
Undies.
my
And undies?
pants, my face,
Yeah.
anytime you see it, it's real. Water was literally splashing up in my face.
The toilet. The one that you said can't be fixed this month.
I told Dave that my dad used to do voices. He happily threw in a little voice.
Oh yeah,
in.
I did voice it.
Sunday, when I'm trying to get your boys ready for church.
And yeah, it was great framing just through the door like that.
Beautiful camera work.
Glad to know that's the only
Honestly.
reason.
Oh, shut
The
up.
one and only reason.
And to me, this scene is kind of the crux of the issue is that he has a job that is more than just a job. I mean, it's what he's called to do, and
Calling,
yet
yeah.
It's still
Jill
Jill.
needs him home. It's still a
And
job,
yet it's
exactly.
a job.
And
Yeah.
and Jill, I know Jill understands that, but at the same time, she wants
Look,
more
when
of
she's
him.
plunging
There's
the
not
toilet-
enough of me.
Yep, exactly.
There's
There's enough
just-
grace. There's not enough of me.
There's not just so much put on him.
Right.
And
There's
there's.
so much put
In
on
many ways, there's more
them.
put on the pastor's wife.
Yeah.
Because
By
she
the way,
doesn't-
I'm super proud of the fact that I had Ethan walk through there and get a glass of water. It's like
Oh.
my favorite part of this.
Brilliant.
Right, yeah.
Just
Just
go
ignore
on.
all the acting.
Jen
Just
threw
the
in-
kid that walked across.
Jen threw in later, she goes, by the way, that means the kids were not getting ready for church.
Not getting ready. Without his shirt, just walking by. Nobody was ready.
Daddy can't play catch with him today.
That's the look like, are you kidding me?
Baseball.
I get that look a lot at school. Too.
Do you?
I will throw with an app.
You give that look or get that look?
I
Yes
get that look
and
on my
yes.
face.
Take out the garbage.
Take
There
out
it
the
goes.
garbage.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
And plunge. 13 takes later.
I just love Dave panting inside the car here. It's magical. It really
This
is
is
awesome.
this is
Panting.
this is great. I even love the mirror. As silly as it
Hmm?
seems, it just
It worked out really well. This is
just him just stuck.
Yeah.
Stuck in what he's in.
Well, it's the same thing, in real life for me. It's like you try to find the good, something that you can get out of even the worst moments. You
Yes.
know.
I found this little bit of music from a Catholic service. So I like it. Josh listened to it and was stunned. He's
Josh
like, "Couldn't
loved
believe
it.
When he heard this,
The
he goes, I have to
Hallelujah.
write the music. I don't know why. He loved everything about it. I think what I'm proud of here is, first of all, goodness gracious, Cedar Creek put that up on
I know.
that PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I
Pastor
think we
Rafferty.
got everybody believing that church is full.
Mhm.
So I think we did a good job there.
Pastor Rafferty
And there's
his
Les.
church just said, "Come on in."
Mm-hmm.
Just magical.
Prox had asked me what he was supposed to wear, and I said, Les reminds me of the guy who ties his tie really poorly.
The
And wears-
same shirt and the same tie.
Wears the same shirt and the same tie.
There it is. And let's just be clear.
I ran home between services.
This
today.
monologue,
ran home because
outstanding.
I forgot
Yep.
something. And on my way
And
out,
it's the right.
Jill asked me to take out the garbage.
You don't feel like you have to
this
act
bag
because
has dirty
it is
diapers.
The words
absolutely
just
the
bring it out.
writing and the
Potato
delivery.
Here's Lucas, and it is still comical, but he also isn't getting
But
that-
true, he's not getting
the greatest part
The
of the
need.
service. He realized he think he has to have cards and a prop.
Yeah.
Pastor picked up a prop on the way
he
out.
needs a
I put it
plan.
in the garbage can.
And this is not a
And I
plan.
almost drove away,
This is the heart.
but then I went back and got it. Why
This is
would I
life.
go back and get it?
I say that's a
Why would I
perfect
bring garbage into church.
example of how life goes
Garbage here.
in whatever environment you're in.
Bring nice things, pretty things.
Sap with teaching, I do coaching in the back, as a part-time thing.
Hair.
And some of the best things you have happen are
Put our arms around our
grabbing whatever happens to be available to you at the time and then turning it into
There's
the
the
best
money.
teaching aid and teaching tool that you can.
Mm-hmm.
So
I had a couple shots there of
Do
Jill
what you gotta
looking
do.
up, but that one, even though we didn't quite get the snap focus, just looking past his elbow,
Ugly thoughts.
it's just that's good. That's good stuff. If you allow me
All
to say
those
it.
words we hissed.
We'll allow it.
All those
I'll
things
allow
we
it.
did when we were angry.
There's less.
There he is. Do I commit?
Failed.
Do I not?
I'm definitely standing right by that exit
And this,
door.
this to me, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that look.
We bring it here
What do I do?
and we lay it at the foot of the cross.
Haven't
Yeah,
we all been there?
I was so grateful I got that shot, but I didn't realize I could lay it where I could lay it.
Oh, and I'm sorry, but I love the cut while it continues to
Mhm.
hear. Where Daddy didn't make it.
And on we go. I mean, I have
And
to
here
admit,
we go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because
And, yeah.
We have to do what we have to do. Because here it is.
and because he's got other kids to take care of, you know, and that's that part
There
right
it is, the foot.
And I get chills just now watching it again. You know, just
You guys
because of the art of what we all have done, but just the compassion there and just the reality of that. You know, it just
And let's give the kudos to the creator writer. Wow.
I remember listening to you guys talking about those scenes and the way they interconnected, and then when we had to watch the opportunity to watch it when you did the season premiere, where we got to watch 1 and 2 back to back, and just the building of emotion through that whole thing. If at any point in time the viewers have an opportunity to watch these episodes one after the other, and as opposed to broken up in time, you can't help but get emotionally connected to the events that are going on. You start to see those things connecting to each other. The way Pastor Ben tucked his son into the upper bunk and then does the same thing with that patient at the hospital, and you start to see that whole connection, and it does. It really starts to grab you differently when you start seeing those things, and you see how that's all connected.
I have to admit too, from a writer standpoint, I had written the pilot and I was, playing with a bunch of ideas that I had, stories that I knew that I could tell. We were watching an episode of Touch, a show that was Tim Crean, great showrunner and writer, created this series called Touch. And I realized after, I don't know, it's the second or third episode that we watched, that I don't even know if Touch is a great show, but it moved me every time. I was always moved to tears by watching Touch. And I thought briefly I realized that if anything that I've been gifted with is the ability to use music and images to move people. And I thought, well then, remember as a storyteller then, to actually get there. Because I was, I kind of went for it. I remember talking to Dave about it too, because 2 and 3 came out. Those scripts might have come out very, very closely. But I remember I was at work. You can forgive me, Edgenet, because but I was at my real job, and I
Thank
started
you,
writing
Edgenet.
at 4:30, the last sequence, the sermon, and I was writing it, and all of a sudden it was 5:15, and Jen was texting me, "Are you on your way home?" And I was just like, this is coming out of me. It was just so good. When I was done, I just remember crying. And I have to admit, when I finished this episode, when I finished episode 1, when I finished episode 3, my initial reaction just from editing it, honestly, sure, just exhaustion relief. It was just, I was weeping. So I guess I guess nothing could be certainly more whatever the word is, braggart, than to say that my own work made me moved me. Yay. But I really feel like I was trying to create something that would touch people and make them stop and just go, wait a minute,
I don't know that it's reverential or braggart when you realize that you have used the gifts that you've been given to their fullest. And I mean, I feel that way too when I see something that I've done or something I write or whatever it is that, I got to that mountaintop for that one little moment there, and it just, and there's something about just creating something, that's, I tell my students this, I tell my daughters this, is that find something creative that you can do, because I don't know of much else that gives that kind of fulfillment in this life.
Yeah, my friend had sent me an article written by a guy who worked for an ad agency, and he talked about how the old days of the ad agencies were they were given many days to come up with concepts, and the concepts they could bat around between each other, and they could kind of goof around and really like at least give it 24 hours or 48 hours to really consider it. And after a while, because of the economy crunch, because the industry had changed, it was basically think of 6 things. They're not going to use 5 of them anyway. So they don't have to be just one good one really and 5 bad ones is fine. And it got to a point where he just got out of the industry, and he realized that when he looked back, is like all this effort he had put into it. It was just for a lot of not so memorable things. Even if it was good, it was for soap or whatever. And my friend had sent it to me to kind of talk about how the industry had changed. I just immediately took it as an endorsement of what we're doing here, was just to say, you know what, we didn't sell any soap. This wasn't sponsored by anybody. This was, blood, sweat, and tears of everybody showing up on days they could have been somewhere else. But at the end of the time, my hope is, if the volcano rubs the lava over there, I hope they find this, and I hope somebody sees something that touched them, because that was the intent. Without any real goal of sponsorship or money or anything else. So that's the beauty of it. I'm proud of these things, and I think everybody in the room here is. And one thing more than anything, I just want to impress on audiences that how much time we spend thinking about this and crafting it. And my hope is if you have questions at all about even some of the things that seem frankly incidental or don't seem right, there's probably some amazing story behind what you see and what you don't see.
Most likely.
So anyway, thank you guys for sticking around. If anybody stuck around, and we'll be back with more. So watch that Living Eating and tell your friends. Good night, everybody.